anyway. It takes them a while. Hi, I'm Carrie Lazat with One of Us Films, and I'm here with Dave Chandrasekaran. Is that right? Did I do
Well,
okay?
Chandrasekaran.
Chandrasekaran. All right, I'm going to eventually get it.
Yeah.
And he started the Voter Empowerment Project, and we're going to talk about our collaboration today. And One of Us Films is going to be supporting the project by making some video content, and we're looking for volunteers. But in order to know what we're doing, Dave will give us an introduction on the project. So tell me, when did it start and why are you doing this? What is it all about?
Yeah. Thank you, Carrie. Appreciate doing this. This is really cool. Something new I've never done before. So the Voter Empowerment Project started on Election Day 2019, so November 2019. And the reason is because my professional career is mostly in health policy. So I mostly work on low-income programs related to healthcare access, Medicaid, Obamacare. But during every election cycle, me and usually a couple other friends would get together and coordinate people in our community. It started in the DC area where I'm from, but also from Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, up to New York, and have us go to support candidates for elections because we wanted to contribute in areas where it was important. And yes, it was, supporting progressive activity, but folks could come and do, phone banking, door knocking. But there was incident that happened in 2016. I did a lot in 2008, 2012, 2016, 2018. But in 2016, we were really focused on southeast Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. And I'm from Pittsburgh, the other side of the state, but my brother's from that area. And we were knocking on doors. And I remember it was a predominantly African-American neighborhood in South Philly, pretty economically depressed. And I spoke to a man probably in his late 50s, early 60s, African-American gentleman who said, you guys come here every 4 years, you yell at us to go vote, and then you leave because you don't give a shit about us. And this is not something that's unknown to the political world. I don't work in it, but certainly the people who do. But it is something that's kind of accepted. It's collateral damage that you might offend some voters. You talk to 5 million knowing that you upset 1 million of them. But at this point, knowing this, it just really got to me. It just felt like that's not really acceptable anymore. And so rather than focusing on having people parachute into different communities, especially folks who didn't look like those communities, having white folks go knock on doors in black communities and having me go knock on doors in central PA where half the houses had signs that didn't make me feel welcome, we wanted to do something different. And so we talked a lot last year with different people, and we said, what if we, instead of us parachuting in, we found groups that are doing that work, that are engaging voters, that are getting them registered, but they're doing it year round. And they're not just focused on voter engagement, they're focused on housing, homelessness, job opportunities, mental health, educational reform. So they just have some credibility in their communities. And let's go find them, especially small groups that are doing high impact work, that are working in communities of color, that are working with youth, new Americans, returning citizens. Let's just go to them and basically say, if you had access to 100 nerds from around the country, what can we do to help you? And so we started this project, and what we're doing is basically volunteering in a remote way. Long before pandemic, we were doing remote stuff to provide more technical support. And I can talk a little more about what that kind of has been, but we've found those partners. We've been working with them kind of like a remote free consulting firm, right, to help them expand their capacity since they are just so overwhelmed with what they have on their plate.
Well, I know I was really happy to be introduced to you because I've kind of been looking around for what is the right way to use what I know how to do as far as managing producers and looking at content and developing how-to content. And I have done political campaigns in the past, and I've even tried to do some volunteer work. But when you get involved with a lot of the campaign work, it just becomes too onerous as far as all like the restrictions and I guess rules that apply. And so I was really happy to be able to do this work because I think that getting people registered to vote, getting new voters registered, and in communities that you're looking to do this in, it's really probably the most important thing that anybody can be doing right now in order to get new people to vote. So tell me a little bit about who you are starting to work with, and then what are the ideas for, adding other groups, and what is the capacity?
So I mentioned our criteria: small groups working at the local or state level, high impact, and also ones that don't have a lot of resources. Maybe they don't have a lot of support from national groups. We want to find those groups that could use us the most. During this campaign cycle, there's going to be billions of dollars spent for political entities, candidates, but also different nonprofits and social and organizations. But these groups aren't the ones getting it. So let's help them out. So that's kind of the criteria. We started with several groups that are pilot over the winter, and the first one being an Asian Pacific Islander group called API Vote Michigan, which you know because that's how I was connected to you. And so Michigan has been a central part of it, and they've been an amazing partner. And so we've since then grown to about 14, 15 groups. We went from 9 groups to 14, 15 in the past week or two. Okay. So we've brought on groups, and we are not partisanage. We're not a nonprofit. We've not registered. We're not interested in registering. We don't want to focus on us and raising money for that. So instead, we're just I say we're kind of like a bunch of nerds with a spreadsheet. And so that's how we're helping our partners. And because we're not a nonprofit, we don't have to worry about any of those rules around, can you be partisan? Can you not be partisan? But we've decided internally not to be overly partisan because a lot of our partners are nonpartisan nonprofits who will get in trouble if they work with partisan entities. So we don't talk about battleground. We don't talk about progressives, but we also understand why people are coming to volunteer. They want to support people who are going to be in office that are going to value all human beings. And so, you can interpret that how you will. And we care about certain states the most, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, of course, Florida, Arizona, North Carolina. And so we found many groups in those areas by just compiling a list of who seems to meet our criteria. And then I just email them. And lots of them don't respond. But of those that do, we have a conversation. And at some point now, people are saying, of course, I'll take free help from really smart people from around the country who want to.
Right. So I think that it's just really, you're keeping it easy and getting the work done. That's it. So tell me who is working. Oh, and I also wanted to mention that, so you said that I'm from Michigan and you're based in Washington, D.C. And so where are the other people that are working on this, and who else is, how many do you have right now, and what kind of volunteers are you continuing to look for?
So, we have a website, which we'll share, obviously, because we want to recruit more volunteers, but we have about 250 people signed up. And of those, I'd say about half have become active and so worked on some project for some partner. Mm-hmm. So it's about 120 some. And so the volunteers have been pretty exciting. So they, started among our personal networks here in DC, but we have volunteers in California, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, South Carolina, Michigan, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. I'd say maybe about a quarter of the states right now.
And so they've been working on messaging and getting websites up and running. Yeah. And now we're starting to look for the content producers, really. So that's where I've joined, and I'm going to be helping you out. And we're also looking for producers, additional social media managers, and editors, so that maybe we can assign. I mean, my idea was to assign each group with a producer, an editor, and a social media person, so that they can kind of see them through the work and the content that needs to be developed. So why don't you tell me a little bit? Well, I'm going to put up my info for my website so people can reach out to me directly if they're interested in any of those jobs. But tell me a little bit more about your vision for the content that you want us to do.
So the kind of groups we're working with are working in Latinx communities, in African American communities, in Asian Pacific Islander communities, with young people, some with returning citizens, a lot with new Americans, so people who've just naturalized and gained the right to vote. And when they came to us, we kind of allowed them to define what are your needs. And so many of them needed website help. Their websites were not looking great. And so we have a lot of great website volunteers who are upgrading them. Some we built new websites for groups. Also, social media is a huge thing they need help with, and that's another area we're looking to find more volunteers. Data analysis, research, helping them recruit volunteers, writing their newsletters, helping them with different opportunities around messaging. So it's been really exciting. We have 17 different areas now that we're helping with, 17 service lines, right? And one of them is video production. And the main reason is because we met a volunteer from Brooklyn, Nicholas, who had some free time on his hands because he's a freelancer. And as you know more than anyone else, the world of many art communities and creative elements have been shut down because of the pandemic. So he helped us think about the idea of, why don't we work with our partners that are around the States and see who's interested in making new video content for social media, for maybe digital ads, which we might be helping them support and purchase, and maybe instructional videos on how to register to vote, how to request your mail-in ballots. And then we met other folks along the way who have video expertise, and it's really exciting to potentially create stuff that none of these groups could really do or could afford to do and don't have in-house expertise. Right. And so we're looking to help them with videos like folks who are from the Asian Pacific Islander community talking into the camera into a little 15-second video being like, here's why I really value voting, and I maybe didn't vote a lot over the past couple of years, but this year I just feel like doing it because my son or daughter turned 18 and I want to show them that voting matters, that kind of stuff. So yeah, we're excited. We're super excited and thankful to have folks like you on board with that.
Well, thank you, and I'm equally as excited to be participating in the work. So I think it's super important, and I'm just really delighted to be able to do it. So I know that the video is going to live a little bit longer after we're done with this conversation. So we hope that people continue to reach out to us, and we don't know when we're going to stop making video content. I think the idea is to do most of it virtually, but I didn't say that if we needed, camera people or anything like that. I mean, if you are available and interested, I guess we might be able to send you directly to somebody to help with wearing a mask, of course.
I mean, we actually could use folks who are talented in photography and videography to help guide the folks who are doing remote selfie videos, right? I know you guys have expertise in that, but if we can delegate, we need more volunteers, because the scope that we're looking to do is really ambitious. We're all volunteers. There's about 10 of us coordinating this project, but we could use more help in that. And the feedback we're hearing from some volunteers said they like really wanted something to do, but they didn't know what was involved. They don't want a door knock. They don't necessarily want a phone bank, and they have these skills. And then some who've been involved have said they really enjoyed it, because it's really important to me to make it not just about you doing work for someone else, but that you get something out of it. It's meaningful for you during this really intense year. And also that you gain skills. If you're kind of good at something, but you want more exposure, partner, you have a little bit of video expertise, partner with Carrie, who's an expert, and work with her on making video, and let that be something that you can develop for your own career and your own hobby. So, yeah, we just really welcome folks coming on board. We also like animators. Forgot to mention that. We would love to find some animators.
We'll take anybody. We'll put you to work, and we'll figure out something for you to do. So I think that's where we want to go with it. And my thought was that, we're trying to ask people for just 5 or 10 hours a week for really as long as they're able to see something through.
Yeah.
So we're ready to get to work, and I think that we're going to be producing some content in the next couple of weeks. And so to see that, do you have a YouTube page yet, or we should just send them to
our website for now, and they can sign up there, and they can reach out to you as well. And then what we'll be doing, as you advised us to do, is help these frontline partners create YouTube pages, create better presence on social media, so you guys can help birth some awesome stuff that's not just going to help these groups this year, but for their future capacity in doing great voter engagement around future election cycles and empowering more voters. So yeah, we're excited.
Well, thanks, Dave, and thanks for sharing. Do you have any other thoughts, or are you ready to wrap up?
I just know that so many folks are struggling on this pandemic, not just like those of us who feel like it's tough to work, it's dealing with social isolation, but people are literally suffering in the streets, and we know what's happening after the awful issues around more Black Americans getting murdered by the police, and just like how it can feel helpless. And what we've heard from people directly is, during this helpless time, something like this has just helped them figure out how to channel that frustration into something that felt meaningful. It's definitely been that for me. It's been a saving grace. And so I hope folks can consider that, and we'll work with you on whatever time or flexibility you have, availability. And if you need to step out for a couple weeks because something else came up, that's fine. You can come back in and do it in ways that mean a lot to you. So we'll hope you'll join us.
Great. For those of you who are watching, we're looking forward to hearing from you and meeting with you and starting this work together. So thanks very much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Great. Thanks, Billy. Appreciate it.
Yeah.